All right, everyone. Welcome to the Ravit Show. I'm excited to have my friend Sarah, CEO of Sequentum, with us today to discuss the launch of Sequentum Cloud. I'm excited about that. And we'll also be chatting a lot about web scraping, data quality, AI. And, obviously, today we will also explore the importance of building trust in data and AI, the keys to running reliable data operations and the challenges of integrating website data into broader analysis. So, Sarah will also share her insights on the future opportunities that AI presents and what makes startups succeed or fail. So, I'm excited about that topic as well. But without any further ado, it's time for the Sequentum launch. This is like a small party that we're doing, but without any further ado, let's bring up Sarah up here. Sarah, welcome to the Ravit Show. Long due. Finally, we do
Yes.
this, and I remember we chatting so much about web scraping, sequencing, the amazing work that you're doing during our visit to, I guess, Statue of Liberty. Before that as well, maybe years back, and I've been following your journey. So finally, it's good to have you on the Ravit Show and excited to discuss about various things. But first of all, congratulations on the Sequentum Cloud launch. I'm super excited about it. Also, for our audience, I would love to. I'm pretty sure you've been a leader in this space for years now. I've seen you almost maybe more than 20, 25 years. So obviously, the audience knows you, but just for those who are new to the show, who would love to know a little about you, about Sequentum Cloud. What is it? Can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah. So, just a little about me. I've done a lot of startups in New York City.
Right.
My first one was in 1997. I have always been in charge of making the tech real. Sort of bringing the business and tech together and running very large scale automated operations to make sure that everything was validated and trustworthy and reliable and all of those good things. And I brought that experience with me to Sequentum. I joined in 2017. The company actually started in 2008. Our CTO
Wow.
and the former CEO is they're both in Australia, and they had this incredible technology, point and click, low code, agent creation with a custom browser inside. Um, but they hadn't really reached the market. They didn't understand. Weren't familiar with all of the players that had really operationalized data-driven decision making. And so WorldQuant, which at the time in 2017 was really leading the pack in the finance industry, doing data-driven algorithmic trading, and doing very well. They found the tech, flew the founders to New York, and then they recruited me to come and run product strategy and ultimately the company.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so since then, we've released the enterprise platforms, Quantum Enterprise, which is Windows on-premise software, but it has the platform, so it allows you to do all of your quality assurance, all of your, some companies call data observability, right? But it's not outside the system, it's inside the system. It's following the data every step of the way to make sure that it is exactly what you need it to be and what you expect it to be. And if it's not, then, you know, it gives you all the tools to catch it, handle it, ticket it, assign it to the right person, notify, et
Hmm.
cetera. So we have all of this great stuff built in. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then now we have ported that into the cloud. So the launch today is, basically it takes all of that, 15 plus years of intelligence, and capability, product maturity, and it puts it into
Wow.
an interface where you don't have to install anything. You don't have to install a browser extension. So the all those discussions that we have with IT security about installing Windows software, no need. The infrastructures are managed, fully managed. It just eliminates the friction. But you have the same point and click interface,
Right.
that makes it really, really easy. And the thing about our approach that has been so successful is it's not, we think, we're dealing with it's mostly web scraping is our
Hmm.
market, right? It's probably 90%, 95% web scraping. Um, and basically we can, we believe that you can automate everything, but not quite everything, like 95%, using point and click. So it's fast
Hmm.
and using tried and true
Exactly.
template commands that are really bulletproof. So it just works. But 5% of the time, whether it's some new form of bot blocking or a new protocol on the internet or a new something, um, 5% of the time you need to customize, and you need a robust customization environment, not custom proprietary code or anything like that. But you need to be able to write in normal programming languages
Hmm.
whatever you need to write to
Right.
customize that agent. And so we have that. We have the scripting engine, also nothing to install. We support JavaScript, regular expression, Python, and C Sharp, and you can integrate, whatever library you need. So it's very, very powerful.
Yeah, I love it, and thanks for sharing all those details. I'm definitely, super excited about the launch as well. And I've kind of got like a little bit before the launch as well. Since
Yeah.
I've been in touch with you, obviously we've learned what your vision was. I've learned it firsthand, and today I'm seeing it all come together very much live. So that's awesome. I'm also kind of curious to know a little about the when I talk to enterprise leaders, the biggest thing in the concern for them is like, how do we trust our data and AI? How does that happen? So, and I'm pretty sure obviously with Sequentum, you kind of, and you at in New York, you kind of meet all the enterprise leaders out there, and a lot in the finance field as well. So, how do you kind of help them building that trust in data and AI, and how is Sequentin changing the game for them?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is where I have to speak to our team. When WorldQuant first recruited me to come and join, I think, the reason was because we had, it wasn't just me, but an entire
Yep.
team of, incredibly dedicated people who were obsessed with making sure that the data was correct and trustworthy, right? And I sort of carried this team with me, startup after startup, and we had developed over the last 20, 25 years, not everyone is as old as I am, but developed a very mature approach to automation in general, right?
Right.
There's best practices in automation that, basically make the difference between whether your operation is trusted or not, right? Number one is to make it completely transparent. So any stakeholder on their own schedule can just go in there, take a look. What changed when? What happened here? Did someone make a change and not tell me? What exactly went wrong? Why am I not seeing the data that I expect? Why is my
Hmm.
analysis changing? What is this gap from? What happened here? And they can click in and they can see, oh, the website actually had a major outage. And that's why there's no data, right? It's
Hmm.
like, and we get this question all the time. Why do you have this gap here in your data? And we're like, yeah, because the website was down. Here's screenshots and here's evidence the website was down. And they're like, oh my God, we're looking at this other vendor's data. There's no gap. And I'm like, well, ah, it's all about trust, right? I mean,
Exactly.
you need, like, you just need to be completely transparent, and you need to build your automation around that principle. There's no hiding,
Hmm.
there's no silos, right? And people have questions they don't want to ask because they think that it's going to put someone on the defensive, or maybe there's political sensitivities or whatever it is between teams. You eliminate that. You're basically driving trust by saying, not only can you look and see everything that we've done at any time, but you can see that, okay, you saw this gap once, but then you can see 30 different changes of little this,
Hmm.
little that, like whatever little tiny thing it is. There's tickets, there's information, this is why this changed, this is who changed it, this
Right.
is when
Right.
it changed, when that change went into production, et cetera. And that's huge. And so we've architected, like for our like you have to do that in general, right? And I've done that, every company I've worked at in 20 years, and everyone on my team understands how important that is. Um, but at Sequentum, we've really, really focused on it in the data scraping space, which I think is pretty unique.
Hmm.
So you can see every change in the agent in the portal, right? So you can literally see, what was
Nice.
this agent doing? You can see the commands also because it's a low code environment. The commands are easy for anyone to understand, right? They're
Nice.
all reusable template commands, so you can see if they've automated CAPTCHA. You can see if there's pagination. You can see the flow of steps through a website. And you don't need to be a programmer to read it. So if you want someone on the compliance team who's on the, a paralegal or someone like that to go in and validate periodically that, these agents are adhering to whatever operating guidelines the legal team has decided on, that's possible on our platform. It's actually really easy. So you can see every version of every agent. You can see, who changed what, even with inputs, right? Oh my gosh, why are we not getting any information on Honda anymore? Oh, because someone took it out of the input CSV of brand names. I see. There
Hmm.
must be a reason for that. Mary Sue, like you took Honda out. Why did that happen? It was like, oh, because we're not considering, we're considering them under some other category or um so yeah, so basically if you want trust, you want complete transparency, and you want all the tooling to support that so that people can go in and ask common sense questions on their own schedule.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love how you kind of, first thing, obviously, when it's about data and trust, the transparency kind of plays a very important role. And that's one big pillar that obviously Sequentum kind of follows. And, the tool has it all. So it just becomes easier,
Well, this is the
right?
thing, like you really want to think about when you're talking about AI, right? So before ChatGPT came out, there were teams that were doing AI, but for the most part, our customers were doing data-driven decision making using machine
Right,
learning
right.
mostly, and or maybe just old school BI and analytics. But now you have this generative AI, and you have this incredible capability that's at everyone's fingertips. You really need to in order for the AI to be trustworthy, you need to have your data collection audited, documented, and
Right.
transparent so people know where the data came from. They know what sites it came from, how it was collected, was it done in the right
Exactly.
way, right? And then it needs to be packaged up in such a way that that AI, down the road, who knows where all these lawsuits are going to go, right? There's a lot of lawsuits in this realm, right? Seeking
Yeah.
to protect the creative works of, musicians and film writers and story writers and news writers. All of these authors are trying to figure out how to get a piece of this great value creation, a fair piece of it. If we are able to establish those standards, and we spend a lot of time working on standards,
Yeah, exactly.
then we can hopefully broker that that value exchange, at some point in the future once the laws become
Right.
clearer. But right now, what you need to do to prepare for that day in 5 years when those laws do become clearer is you need to prepare. Set yourself up. Basically, if you're, in 5 years, the law is going to be much more settled than it is now. But you're making
Right.
your investments in AI now. So how do you protect those investments? You
Right.
need to make sure that when in your data collection strategy, that you're documenting the provenance of all that data, not only where it came from, but how it was collected.
Right.
And you need some way to maintain that so that eventually down the road, when your amazing AI value that you've created gets, God forbid, some kind of a takedown notice, you can say, hey, look, I did everything the right way according to
Right.
standards, the most that we had at the time, right? We followed the best standards of the time. We did everything we could. We spent
Exactly.
time reaching out to the industry, making sure that we were all aligned on what best practices are, and um, and not only that, but you'll have a basis from which to negotiate, right? A co-ownership or some kind of fractional ownership for the creators. You know, if what you're, like a lot of what we scrape is just facts, right? But if you're actually pulling creative works and you want to protect yourself down the road, then there's a path to doing that if you do it in the right way.
Yeah, but I think those are fantastic insights. Thanks for sharing that. And you're right. In terms of future, how do we look at it? We need to protect it right now, and then we can talk about it maybe 5 years later when laws kind of come into the place. But you still have it all. You were ready for it almost 5 years back, and that is how we need to look at it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's worth mentioning, Ravit, like we spend so much time on standards and trying to make sure we're aligned, right? We're not only
Right,
obsessed
right.
with making sure that the web data is, reliable and high quality and all that good stuff. Um, but we also have spent a lot of time on aligning with industry and trying to define standards. So we brought the
Exactly.
Sequentum operating guidelines to the Alt Data Council, which is under the FISD, which is the Financial Standards Division
Hmm.
of SIA, which is a standards making body. And we worked with all the general counsels from the big SEC governed firms, to
Wow.
basically publish the web data collection considerations, which pretty much everyone in finance is aligned on now. So we have an entire industry that's aligned,
Wow.
on how to do web scraping the right way. And we've actually been on panels with SEC regulators, and they also agree. It's
That's very cool.
these are very common sense, self-regulating rules that we've defined, and now we're spending time with folks outside the finance industry, government agencies and nonprofits and for profits, a lot of the biggest tech firms and also
Hmm.
publishers, on what standards can we define for web scrapers, right? And one thing that we always bring into that discussion, and it's a very unpopular topic. Nobody wants to talk about web scraping. They think web scraping is, unscrupulous or bad bots or whatever it is, and people just they don't realize, especially publishers, they don't realize how mission critical this activity is, right? Number one, it's mostly facts like prices and product attributes and whether a review is a 5 star or a 3 star. It's mostly just facts, right? It's not creative
Right.
works, but these are mission critical functions in almost every type of industry. So whether it's commercial, right? If you're an e-commerce company or platform or even just a brand, you need to know what the prices are. You need to know what the reviews are. You need to know review sentiment, star rating. You need to know all the product attributes of the items in a category that your brand is selling in. What are the attributes that are selling off the shelf? What are the attributes that are no
Hmm.
longer in fashion? These are driving decision making, and you can't compete today without that
Exactly.
real-time
Yeah.
information. It's mission critical, and it's the same for government agencies. We have scores of government agencies as customers, and we
Oh,
had,
wow.
like, the NIH, was using us for COVID data, during the pandemic. There's a lot of government agencies use us for, whether they're a police department following up on investigations, or whole anti-terrorist groups that are looking for terrorist messaging or organizing online, or trade
Yeah.
in criminal weapons or drugs, human trafficking online. These are all use cases that are um, that are very common among government agencies in the use of scraping. And then you've got, all your industries, like background checks, for example. You have to
Mm,
conduct a background check within 45 minutes of submitting your results. You have to go to at least 50 states for every type of information you're checking: sex, felony, criminal record, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's only for the US. So the background check is something that depends completely on web scraping. Um, and
exactly.
these are very legitimate use cases, and there is nothing wrong with scraping if you're doing it in the right way. Right. So the panic now is, oh, generative AI is going to steal my voice and it's going to steal my style, and it's going to put me, in a terrible place as an artist. It's stealing my work and creating all this value, and I can't participate in that. Actually, if you collect data in the right way with the right audit trails, that forms a basis for,
Mm,
some
true.
fractional ownership and recognition and collaboration in the future. Right now, it's awkward because, if you knock on someone's door and say, "Hey, I'm scraping your site," they're going to say cease and desist, and they're immediately going to ask you to stop. Right?
Mm,
So we're hoping and we're working with a lot of folks, to drive alignment around standards so that
nice.
hopefully we can really open those discussions. Um, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think one thing that I'm kind of also hearing is like, Sarah, people or the professional using data kind of also, it's always where we kind of underestimate the power of web scraping as well, where you just mentioned
Yeah.
about various things. It's like an underrated thing that, oh, web scraping, okay, fine. But then there's governments are using it for so many different things you just mentioned about, so the importance of it has
Oh,
been
yeah.
there for years, and those who kind of working in the space, they know how important it is, and where it might be where there are so many professionals out there, they're already using it, but they don't know the underlying technology. And that's how I see web scraping as a very important aspect in the data world. So that's awesome. I'm also curious to learn a little about how you using AI today. What's happening around that?
Yeah.
How are customers? What are your customers saying?
Yeah. So, uh, two things in your question, right? How are our
Yeah.
customers using it in AI,
Yes.
and then how are we using AI? I'm going to take the
Yes.
how are we using AI first.
Yes.
So AI has always been something we've incorporated into our scraping. We talk about our platform as, it's literally a process automation platform, right? We ingest,
Mm,
we transform, we AI enrich, we structure, and we deliver the data, right? So with it, there's a lot. It's a lot more than only extracting data from websites. We can extract data from, audio streams or APIs or documents or databases, any web page,
right.
obviously, right? And we
Yep.
have always included AI where the requirements warranted it, right? So if we're doing translation or we're doing OCR, we're doing keyword or image extraction, anything like that, we've always had, AI in there. And, human trafficking, for example, is a use case that uses AI to get all of the words that they're using that you're searching for. And uh, so basically, now that when ChatGPT came out, that
Right.
just electrified our industry, right? And actually see a lot of AI scrapers that are coming out now, which is great, right? They look great and they promise the world. And we too we're incorporating Vision API and OpenAI Vision API and other AI capabilities, but we have a very
Mm-hmm.
different approach, right? So we're not just everything is AI. Right, because again, that doesn't help with transparency. It doesn't help with trust. It places a
Mm,
lot of questions. Really, the AI hallucinates. How do you make sure that that's not working? We do what we've always done, which is we'll create a template command around the AI, right, with defined inputs and defined outputs and all kinds of validations and checks and making sure that what's coming across is really what you know, what you've asked it to do for you. And in that way, we are, harnessing the power of these technologies without introducing a whole lot of risk. And again, those audit trails, they have, it's clear, what AI is used when,
Right.
et cetera. And so the provenance is still there, and all the good practices about how to make sure that your AI is trustworthy. We're harnessing the power, and we're still staying true to our mission of making that data trustworthy. Now our customers are really across the board. We've got customers in healthcare who are using our technology to figure out what prescription drugs are working, what are the side effects of these drugs, what are the contraindications if you're on this drug and you want to take this other drug. They have massive troves of data at their disposal, and they are able to use our tooling to go into their internal data stores and to come up with incredible insights. And they're also using AI to analyze a lot of the volumes of data. Um,
Nice.
and it's insurance. For example, they'll let's say they're a reinsurance company, and they're insuring, there's certain buildings that they've insured, and they want to monitor, news, and want to make sure that um, uh, their buildings or their big name tenants or landlords are not showing up in the news with negative sentiment. That's something
Right.
that's easily done, right? It's web scraping plus AI. And we have actually risk alerts that we sell. It's
Nice.
not They're not really using our platform at that point. It's kind of an intelligent agents that we just you know lease out to them. They subscribe to it, and they'll upload the list of names of companies that they depend on, usually data vendors, or
Right.
any vendors or suppliers that they depend on. And this really started during COVID, right? When a lot of suppliers like went out of business or had all kinds of problems. And basically, for that list, of vendors, will alert if there's any negative news around fraud, litigation, cyber breach is another big one. And this is like, it's like $2 a company a month. Like, it's really low
Mm.
cost. Um, just very intelligent, really low cost. It's like smart alerts instead of, whatever you get from Google Alerts, which is really noisy. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so our customers are doing all kinds of things. And then, of course, there's customers that are training LLMs, and customers that are, um, I already mentioned algorithmic trading.
Right.
Yeah, and we also, for the defense industry, we've got, a lot of the consulting firms that are serving, those ends, having to do with, national security concerns, and they're using our platform to, protect our citizens, and do all that good stuff. And they're using a lot of
Right.
AI to help them, basically build on top of the data that they're collecting.
That's awesome. I think those are fantastic use cases that you've kind of shared, and like there are so many customers who kind of using it for various,
Yeah, I mean,
different
it's
use cases, right?
commercial, it's non-governmental, right?
Exactly.
We have nonprofits that are monitoring hate speech and all of these good things. We have
Yeah.
researchers, we have multiple universities, some of the best names are
Love
using
it.
our software, and of course these government agencies. Um,
Yeah, it's powerful, and obviously it kind of also caters to a lot of different industries in different ways. So that is something which is fantastic. Sarah, I have one. Obviously, I know, keeping my time in mind, I want to also ask you one last question, and that would be obviously about the Sequentum Cloud launch. What can we expect? What's I don't want to obviously spoil that for the customers, but I'm kind of wanting to know what can customers uh, expect, the newer people who want to try a Sequentum, what can they expect from this launch?
they can expect it to basically have an agent up and running in minutes, what would have
Nice.
taken them hours or days to set up. And then they can
Right.
expect it to run day in, day out, in a way that they really believe in, because they can configure easily, very simply, change tracking and data validation, success criteria, all of
Right.
these really, really mission critical features. You can have them, you basically have them at your fingertips from the moment you log in.
Nice.
And then also on top of it, every agent is a human readable text file. So this is also quite different in the sense that you can use those text files to train your AI.
Hmm.
So if you want to do a startup, and we have multiple AI startups on our platform already, we're early adopters, pre-launch. But they're using the text files to train their AI to know automatically where to go to get data, how to interact with sites, where it's not just going and looking at a site and doing, RAG or whatever, but you can actually go to a site and log in and interact and do, whatever you need to do in order to achieve what that AI needs to do. So it's just incredible, incredible power at your fingertips.
Yeah, love it. And those are fantastic insights. What I'm also going to do is like share the link with our audience as well, where they can go out, look more, and get more details about the Sequentum Cloud launch. But congratulations once again to you and your team for such a great launch. And I'm excited to be a part of this journey. So happy about it. And we'll keep the conversation going. But one last question, and promise this is the last one for our audience. If they want to reach out, learn more about Sequentum, if they want to reach out to you, where can they do that? Is LinkedIn a best place? Twitter? Where should they do that?
Oh, they can email me directly, Sarah McKenna
Okay,
at sequentum.com. It's Sarah, Sarah dot McKenna, McKenna at sequentum.com. And of course, our website is sequentum.com. There's a form where you can, contact us, or you can just register. Where, if we need to, we'll set up a wait list. We do vet every customer that comes on our platform to make
nice.
sure that they're not, intending to hack into the Pentagon or anything nuts like that. Yeah, so that's good. LinkedIn, is somewhat good, but where it's a bit spammy there now. So
Yeah.
I might not get back to you right away.
Awesome. That's awesome. Sarah, thanks for sharing that. Folks know where to reach out. But this was such a insightful conversation. I've learned so much, and great work with Sequentum Cloud, and great work with the new product. So excited about it. I will keep the conversation going. We'll keep the party going. But just for our audience, any last thoughts for them about Sequentum Cloud? Anything that you want to mention, and then we take off.
We're excited to see what everyone thinks of this new platform. We think it's a game
Nice.
changer. It is the culmination of 15 plus years of being leaders, thought leaders in the scraping industry. So we think this is going to be very, very powerful. We are also humble, and we adopt, a continuous improvement, mindset. So if there is anything that's not working or can be improved, we are all ears. Cannot wait to get your feedback. Super excited.
That's awesome.
The day is
Thanks,
come.
Sarah. Yeah, Sarah, finally, we got to do this. Thanks for that. And thanks everyone for attending today and asking questions to Sarah. Feel free to reach out. You know where can you reach out to her, and where can you learn more about Sequentum. Thanks again, Sarah, for visiting the Ravit Show. Such a pleasure hosting you today.
Thank you. Thank you, Ravit. Appreciate it.
Awesome.